66.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. How's everybody doing this fine Friday? Let's just get it out of the way. How's the weather, Fernando?
Today is 66. Yeah, it's 66.
Dude, you need to drink more of that coffee.
Why? No, I already finished it.
Really?
Yeah.
It needs to kick in. So, it's cool. It's nice out. It's gorgeous.
It's very
When you
nice.
walk
Yeah.
outside, it's pretty enjoyable day. So we hope you guys out there are feeling it. In other news, we'll be working on a new hoodie, so that'll be hitting the Teespring store soon. Getting ready for 2020 fall or whatever the heck you guys call it in the rest of the world. We call it winter, but you know, everywhere else it's that time before snow hits the ground, and you know, you get it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, let's just jump into our first story. It's a doozy. You know, the funny thing about doing news is that there's not, you know, the car audio isn't always like the most hottest news thing in the world.
No, I mean, it's not like every week it's something new.
What there is, it's just how important it is, and we debate over what we think is important and what's not important. Oftentimes I win, just because I do all the prep work. Victor, what's going on? But this one is okay. The reason why I picked this story, because honestly it's not really anything aftermarket wise, but Ford recalls more than 70,000 vehicles due to backup camera.
I heard that one on the news, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I thought this was important is because, you know, obviously when we do installs, all kinds of strange things can happen in a car.
Yes.
Anytime you're, let's get rid of that. Anytime you bust into a car and you decide that it's, you know, you're going to update it, put new things in.
Yeah.
You always run the risk of interfering with something else in the car.
Yeah.
As we often find out, you know, it's whether something happens to a dash, body control module. You get blamed for all kinds of stuff. So, you know, you do check-ins on the vehicle to make sure everything's working. There's no airbag lights, no, you know, Christmas trees, and then you move on to the next thing. This, going forward, I mean, because not everyone is going to pick up on the recall. So there's a chance at some point we're going to get a car that has a factory backup camera, and the backup camera stops working, and then we get blamed for it.
And the only thing I can say, if you guys can go and check like recalls for 2020, because I was watching, I was searching yesterday what else they have besides the backup cameras.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of cars, you know, Nissans, not exactly for backup cameras, but
well, there's always recalls on cars.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a recall last week for a car that Sue hasn't owned in 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of funny.
So I got this one. It says it's a 2014 Kia Optima. A lot of people own Kia Optimas.
Big popular car.
Yes. So the brake fluid might leak inside
into the car.
The hydraulic electronic control unit.
Ooh.
Possibly resulting in electrical short
and a fire.
And the engine compartment can cause a fire. So
this was a thing.
And the reason I picked this one is, for any reason we're gonna do an install, everybody's gonna do an install, you know, and something happened and hopefully never. But if that happens, it's like the first thing you're gonna blame
is the guy who touched
it last. So
yes. Oh, for sure. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go any further, let's give a special shout out to our sponsor for today's show, which is Morel. That's right. Morel is a great company that we work with, and they're a sponsor for the show. head over to morelhifi.com and check out all their cool things. Today we're looking at the Maximo Ultra 3-way set. This is the 3-way set that we had the pleasure of playing with this week, and man, I gotta tell you, nice stuff.
We didn't know that existed.
Didn't even know it existed. I know, it's so sad. The fanboy that I am. Anyways, back to this one. Ford has had an issue with that same thing that you mentioned before with brake fluid, because their cruise control module works through the brakes. And what would happen is there was a switch on the back of it, and when you step on the brakes, the pressure was a pressure switch. And it was like you have all this machined mechanical stuff and then a little $2 switch on the back, and what would happen is it would break and it would leak. Brake fluid is highly flammable, so you'd have all these Ford Explorers that would just catch on fire. And I know this, and the reason why this always concerns me is because, wouldn't you know it, we had a customer that their car caught on fire. And naturally, we got blamed for it because we had put an amp in it, and we ran a power wire through the firewall. I had to go out with the investigators. There was 10 investigators there, and basically dig through the burn to find our fuse holder so that we could go, here's our fuse holder. This wasn't our fault, because they were trying to blame it on us. We were the last ones to touch it. As soon as we found the fuse holder, we were absolved. They were like, yeah, no, it's fused. And I, of course, before that was arguing the fire happened in the bay. It's not in the car. They were saying it was where it passed through the firewall. I was like, that's not how this works, because they know nothing about it. They're just these, yeah, it was funny. But in the end, we won because, and then also the tale was they didn't have the double plug, because they'd never done the recall. On the cars that had the recall, there was a 6-inch plug put in because they added a fuse. And they put the harness had a big yellow piece of paper on it that notified that this car had been updated. It was that much of a concern that if it came into a shop like a Ford retailer and they didn't have that, they were immediately supposed to put that on, whether the consumer wanted it or not, because Ford didn't want to pay for another car.
So there you go. If you want,
always check for updates. It doesn't matter,
you know. Like yesterday, I was checking. I'm like, wow, man, it's so many cars, so many recalls. It's insane.
Well, I have the outstanding recall on my car for the key, because the Chrysler, they didn't want to pay for new ignitions, so they just took the key. You know, mine has the Volkswagen style flip out key, and it weighs too much because people, if you're just using a key, it's fine, but if you have the key with, you know, the 10,000 crap hanging off of it, that extra weight can cause the ignition to do bad things. So I just carry my key as a fob by itself. So I'm not going to do the recall because I like my flip key too much. But whatever.
Yeah.
Next in news, this one. This one, again, I know it's not car audio related per se, but man. So California governor signs order to phase out new gas-powered cars by 2035. California's tried this before. This is the second go around with this. There's actually I want to say, Netflix show or something like that, like what happened to the electric car. It's an awesome show where Ford or something like that had made electric cars, and this was in California, and they would only lease the cars. They wouldn't sell you the car. You could not buy the car. This was before Prius or anything like that. They would lease you the car, and at the end of the lease, you had to return the car, because the whole time they were lobbying to get rid of this law that went into effect. So at the end of 4 years, they shredded all those cars. Like literally took all the electric cars and turned them into scrap. It was a cool show, but apparently California's going to go back at it again. And SEMA, as a governing body of, 12 volt and whatnot, is fighting this tooth and nail. They say this is ridiculous. I would probably agree with them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for, electric cars or zero emission cars, but where the hell are we going to dump all these batteries?
Man.
I mean, so, we're trading one headache for another headache.
Oh, totally.
We're trading ozone for ground and soil. I don't know. Again, I'm not that guy. I look at it what it is, and I go, the GM EV1. Thank you, Fang of Truth. See, it was a great show, dude. It was an awesome show. So gas cars probably go the way of horses. Only use sports to enjoy rather than and trust me, I'm I'm all for it. We've talked about this before. If they made a Camaro that was an electric Camaro, like a Camaro that had, hybrid.
Yeah.
I would buy that because I don't drive enough to not need that. You know what I mean? Like you could live off of that. You drive back and forth. I mean, we literally don't drive that far.
I don't know. I'm not like a big into like.
It's not a matter of electric
car.
You.
No.
So, save money because you don't have to buy gas.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're trading one fuel for the next because you have to power the car has to get a charge somewhere.
Yes.
So somewhere, some form of fossil fuel.
You're gonna spend money. You're spending money on electric, or you're spending money on gas.
The trade-off is what is cheaper. So what I'm saying is paying to charge a battery cheaper than going to the gas station? And the answer is probably yes.
You know, I like to go into the gas station.
I'm not saying I don't. Hey, look.
Go home and it's like...
You're getting old.
No.
Okay? So you're getting to be, hey, kid, get off my lawn. It's all right. I've seen it. I've seen the change happen over the last,
No, I would play with the kids in there.
No, you're coming there. I see it. But I'm all for
Look at that.
it. What?
Like, guy building a 67 Mustang electric.
Oh no! There was a TV show after Monster Garage kind of run its course. There was a guy that was on Monster Garage a couple times. A guy named Gizmo.
Okay.
And he would build. Yeah, exactly. He would build classic cars with electric motors. And at the time, the show I watched, he was doing something like that. I think it was a Camaro though.
All right.
For one of the Red Hot Chili Pepper guys. And so they had the whole thing where they had the motor and the batteries and they bolted onto the transmission. And
I saw something like that. This guy made like a BMW M1, I think, and that was crazy and that was super fast. I'm like, how?
Well, Casey just reviewed the Mercedes-Benz hybrid on his Casey Neistat. For those of you that don't follow him on YouTube, he just did a space-age Mercedes-Benz. That was pretty next level.
Save money on maintenance, only need tires.
I mean, for the most part, and I mean... But
okay,
my thing is, what do you do with the battery?
Yeah, but I feel it's going to cost more money, because now it's totally electric. It's like, you can even do nothing. It's like, nope, take it to the dealer.
Well, no, okay. I'm sure when gas engines first started coming out, there was, a certain amount of, there's no one that can work on them. Electric is going to be no different. Once electric gets past a certain percentage, there's going to be guys that are going to specialize in electric, okay? And then once they specialize, and there's going to be shade tree guys, and there's going to be basic guys. And it's just a matter of time. Now, we're probably going to be too old to where that's going to be
I would probably not be here.
Oh, you will. Dude, you're freaking young. Shut up. You'll be Sebastian will be out tinkering with his electric motor.
So you think it's going to be in the next 10 years?
No, I don't think it's going to be the next 10 years. This is 2035. That's 15 years. So I realistically see it more when Sebastian's, when you walk out with your cane and Sebastian's like, hey, Dad, check out my new Hyundai Kia with the electric motor or whatever. I don't know. Hyundai Kia? That's a good car. Anyways. Yeah. Next up, one of our favorite companies, Aamp Global, gets a new president and CEO. Scott Frost, former president of the Americas, meaning this area here. They have holdings all over the globe, so this is in charge of Americas. Is the new president and chief executive officer. In addition, previous president and CEO Jamie Fraser was appointed executive chairman of the board. Frost has been with the company for 8 years, starting as senior vice president of sales. After 5 years, Frost was promoted to president of Americas, where he led the division growth strategy through acquisitions, channels expansions, and product development. Why is this a story? Well, Aamp Global, and this is a conversation we were having before the show. Aamp Global is obviously one of the biggest companies in 12 volt, and they now they've been bought and sold several times in my tenure in the car audio world. The latest company that has purchased them has now put in place a new CEO. This is one of those things where you look at it from the outside and you go, it's not that big of a deal. Just a new guy in charge.
Yeah.
But if you look at the company over the years, the CEO for that company, and like most major companies, has played a strategic role in the growth and development of the company.
I feel that's the guy that makes most of the decisions. Yeah.
And some of the CEOs for the company, just like the history of the world, you have dark times and you have positive times. Mm-hmm. There was a few CEOs that have come and gone through the company where things were very dark, and they bought a bunch of weird companies that mm-hmm. didn't evolve out too much and were basically a waste of money. And then you have CEOs that came in and made right moves. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how this gentleman plays out as CEO. Obviously, he's been with the company. There again, this is one of those other things too, is he didn't come from 12 volt. Meaning he's never installed.
So he doesn't have that background.
He doesn't have the background. No, his background is in sales.
Okay.
So he has a
different perspective.
He has a really different perspective, and that's kind of one of the things that Aamp Global has been going for. Uh-huh. All right, so here we go. Prior to entering the 12-volt business, Frost held executive and management role positions at a lighting and ceiling fan companies such as, Hunter Fans, mm-hmm. Monte Carlo,
and
I
read all that.
Well, they haven't read it, though, so I was telling them.
Yeah.
So he comes from, and there again, that's one of the things that they've been doing over the years is they've been trying to look for outside, not looking into the industry, but looking to outside of the industry to try to bring in new blood, as it were, to bring in a different perspective.
And I can see that because normally you want to, for example, you want to bring somebody that at least knows something about 12 volt. For example, new installer, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because when you hire me, you're like, I don't care. I don't need you to know this.
Well, you had to know the
I'm
basics.
I'm going to train you.
Yeah, but you had to know the basics.
Right. And some of these companies is like, you have to have at least some form of knowledge of
what this guy clearly didn't.
No, but
granted, he's been there for 5 years and probably done extremely well.
Exactly.
From the business side of things.
Maybe his perspective on that company is doing something good, So, yeah.
I mean, they promoted him. This has got nothing to do with him and his ability to do the job. I don't know him personally. I've never had the opportunity to meet him.
If they promote him, it's he's doing something good.
He's doing something good. There's no question about it. This is one of the reason for this story was more to the sense of this seems to be a growing trend in business where you hire somebody outside of whatever the business is that you are doing to get a new perspective on it. Aamp Global has been really doing that a lot in the last years, where they'll bring in people that have nothing to do with 12 volt and try to use them to influence change in the company mm-hmm. for either positive or negative. Obviously, only time tells.
Yeah.
Sometimes it backfires in the sense that it's just too radical of a thought process for them. As a person on this side of the table, meaning the receiving end of whatever it is they're peddling, sometimes it's really freaking annoying. Mm-hmm. And we have a hard time with it because when we're asking for something, we always get a lot of blowback as far as like, well, is that really necessary? How many of those are we going to sell? What kind of market strat? And like literally sometimes you have to do, and that's there again, we're not talking about, we're past the Aamp Global thing. We're just talking in general. When we talk to these manufacturers. Mm-hmm. They want us to do the market research for them.
So it's when, for example, and I'm you, everybody as a consumer asks for, how hard is to make this, right?
Well, they
already have amplifier, speakers, anything, modules, whatever. How hard is to make it? Just make it, but it's not that simple, right?
Well, okay, so I mean,
they have to go through that table and talk about it and see like
how many are we going to sell?
How many you're going to sell? Exactly.
What is the market? What is the market going to bear as far as price goes? So I mean, there's all that. There's no question.
How many
about
cars
that.
are alive right now that they're going to use that thing? So yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I wish him the best of luck. Hopefully one day we'll get an opportunity to meet him, sit down, talk to him. I'd love to interview him for the show mm-hmm. and, just get his perspective on how he sees the future of 12 volt going. Because if there's anybody that has their pulse on what is going to happen as a CEO for a company like that, that makes a lot of they set the pace for a lot of what happens in the install bay and in sales in general.
And when you talk with Steve Irby, that was his perspective on what he's doing, what he's always looking for, and all that stuff.
Well, he's an interesting feed though, because here's a guy that basically created an industry. That didn't exist. Preloaded enclosures up until this point didn't exist.
Of course, he has a background of music and creating his own speakers and everything.
Yeah.
The enclosures or whatever. But you always looking for that answer of these CEOs. And it's like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to get him in here, and we'll play with his brain and see what we can come up with. And since we're talking about pack, hold on, let me go here, load this one up.
Okay, and
keep going.
Yeah, now that you're looking for something, also on the news, Mr. William Bird, right there, WWNGA service, has actually come out with the wireless bass knobs.
We'll get one in and we'll play with it.
Yeah, so
we'll do a car stereo lab. We'll
check that website. Yeah,
you need a bass knob for your car.
Totally need a bass knob.
Yeah,
man. I got this bass knob.
Like, okay. We'll talk to him off show and we'll figure that out. All right, since we just talked about Aamp Global, one of their companies, of course, is Pack, Stinger. Pack and Stinger have teamed up together to come out with the Jeep integration. We've had this on the show. This is for the JL Jeep and the Gladiator JT, the high 10 integration kit for it. Scroll down here. Let me zoom back out.
There you go.
We have if you head over to their website, you can watch a video of how it works in the car. Of course, here, utilize custom screens to retain some of the factory features. Of course, you get steering wheel controls. And this is a picture of the kit itself. Now, one of the things that this system offers, and they're going to be the only people that offer this right now, is full integration of the Jeep's HD camera. For those of you who don't know or own a JL or the
JK,
or not the JL or the JT, it's an HD camera. Basically, it's the equivalent of an HDMI cable coming from the camera into the radio itself. It's high res. It is not compatible with any aftermarket head units at all. You can't retain it. You can't use it. If you want to go with the radio, you have to put on a new camera as of right now. However, once this kit ships, this will be the first radio that will have full integration of the backup camera into this.
Full retention?
Full retention, because what it's doing, it is using the HDMI input on the back of the high 10 as a backup camera input. So when you flip it to reverse, that's going to be the only use for the HDMI. So it's only got one HDMI. It's going to be for the Jeep backup camera. So you won't be streaming any video over the HDMI or anything like that. So you kind of got to decide what's more important, screen mirroring or backup camera. But they are converting it over to an actual HDMI cable, and when you put it in reverse, it's going to appear there.
That's pretty
so that is a module. Now, if you want to know more about this, we did have Kyle on the show a couple months back where we had it. We unboxed it. We talked about it. So you can head over to the regular 5-star channel there and just search Stinger High 10 Jeep Radio and check out the video we have on that. This is going to be an interesting piece, though, so we're pretty excited that they are coming out with that.
All right, and now that we are in 20 minutes,
yes,
we're going to give away this.
The T-shirt from Morel.
T-shirt from Morel, yeah.
These guys right here, you can find them at morelhifi.com. What is the question for this one, Fernando?
So the question is simple.
Okay.
It's very simple.
I doubt it.
Actually, no, it's very simple. What size voice coil are on the Ultimo subwoofer?
Okay.
What size?
What size voice coil does the Ultimo subwoofer have?
What's it?
So it's some numbers.
So simple. Yes.
All
so
right.
The first one, the answer, boom.
You win an extra large or large are the only size we have. Neither one of those are correct. So that's it. So if you don't fit in, if you or a loved one doesn't fit into a large or extra large, just play on and pretend.
Ultimo 12 inch.
Yeah.
12 inch.
This is Morel, guys.
This is Morel, guys. Almost.
Although, I don't even know if they make an 8-inch voice coil in a woofer. That would be pretty neat. I have to do more research on that one.
Yeah,
God,
that would be woo.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. Almost.
Yeah.
You guys get close.
No, they're not close. You're far away. You know, I feel like I'm playing
I see.
The Drew Carey game.
Wow, guys, come on.
We've talked about this before because that's the subwoofer I have. It's
yep.
sitting underneath the counter there. We should have just banged it out and showed people 18 inches. That's what she said. That's hey, baby.
She said, yeah.
All right, well, you guys keep figuring that out. I'm going to load up for the next and final story, which, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, what happened there?
Do you know, I just did the update.
On your phone?
And that's horrible.
Why is it? Oh, mine's working spectacularly.
Oh, no, man. That's like...
What seems to be the problem?
It's slow.
Well, that's normal. Yeah.
No, like that before it was perfectly fine.
Oh, we're getting really close, guys. We're getting really close. You need to...
Yeah, no. I just pops in the front.
We're getting really close. There's a decimal point. Is that Eric? Eric, good job, Eric. Yes, it's not 5 inches, it's 5.1 inches, and trust me, that 0.1 matters, guys. You know this.
That is metric.
Yeah. So 5.1 is the correct answer. That's right, guys. It's a 12-inch woofer that has a voice coil that's roughly the size of Fernando's head. I mean, it's gigantic.
Yeah.
Eric, here's what I need you to do. I need you to send me an email to... Like, you think I know my email. carstereotalk@yahoo.com. I need your address, home, and your shirt size, either large or extra large. So send me an email to carstereotalk@yahoo.com. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for playing. 5.1 inches. Wow. Nice voice call.
Yeah, it's all about that 0.1. I know.
And
right?
you know, this is one of the outstanding about this manufacturer. They always been using big voice coils.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That's why I always call them slow as far as how they how their movement is, because it's just such a big piston that has to move up and down. And for our final story today is whatever this thing is here in the middle. Oh, hey, I didn't want to do that. DS18's new arrivals. What do we have? We have marine products. Just in time for summer, DS18 is introducing some tubbies, some marine speakers, as well in black and white. They have new marine power kits with waterproof fuse holders. Hopefully they're ignition proof, I think, is the more important thing. We don't know, but they both they have RCA, so they have a full line of marine audio products. So head over to ds18.com and you can check those out. Now, of course, tubbies can be used in recreational vehicles of any kind and size. Now they seem to be the popular thing. And even though winter is coming, what a disappointing ending. You know, if you have one of those cool quad runner ATV style things and you want it to be loud for Snowfest 2020, by all means, check out some of the DS18 products, amongst others. But it's new. Yeah. It's a 4-inch two-way pod, which I think is spectacular because it's small. It means it's going to be able to fit on things like motorcycles and these little smaller roll bars and things like that. What
I was talking last week, it seems like right now Marine it's been like...
Well, 12 volt is dead.
But yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know, man. Lately, you seem like you push it to the front.
Well, all right, so here's the deal. Let's look at it like this. And this is why I squashed the other story. But when it comes to these motorsports, the category is what they're calling them, motorsports. Motorsports is right now the last frontier. So if you're a car audio manufacturer and you look at the world of car audio, you're either going to pound on it head on and develop products for car audio going forward, dealing with what we're going to see by 2035, such as full electric vehicles. So you have to come out with a whole different thought process on your amplifiers. Okay, this is where a manufacturer or an actual company differs from those warehouse guys. All right, so if you look at somebody like Kicker, Rockford, and JL Audio, we'll just use the big three, where they employ engineering staff that designs products, not just, okay, they're developing products for the future, meaning they're inventing new power supplies, they're inventing new ways of doing things. And there again, we have all the ones overseas, such as Helix and Audison, Hertz, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm going to leave somebody out. Where there are companies that actually design and manufacture products, and they're looking at the future.
Yeah.
As opposed to all these third-party products, or what we call internet brands, which, again, this is not a good, bad thing, guys. They're not. They're buying off-the-rack parts, and they're relying on their suppliers to develop these things that will work with everything else. They're putting their hands into somebody else's destiny. It's like, hey, are you guys going to come out? No, we're still working on that. So when you look at like these amplifier manufacturers that don't develop for the modern car, they're going to be behind.
Limited.
They're going to be limited, you know. But those are the reasons why those other brands do cost so much, though. You know, when you look at an 800 watt amp from one of the big three, as opposed to an 800 watt amp from one of the internet suppliers, that would be why those cost more, because they're actually putting research and development into it. I mean, when we did the CS 800.1, there again, I talked about this last night on the Hi-Fi Vegas show. There's actual science into that amplifier. I mean, that amplifier will play down to 8.5 volts and still put out power and not turn off. All right? It puts out half its power, but it's still making you as the consumer that doesn't know any of the science behind this happy because your amplifier is not shutting off.
Correct.
Which is cool. Yeah. But you have to have an intelligent person behind that, somebody with some form of how does this work, building and designing that so that it'll happen. Whereas these other companies just, put it in. It's $159.
All right, yeah. Out of topic. Now that you say somebody has, something in here, it's like they have to have that.
What do we say? A brain?
To come out with these technologies and everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's why they pay these. That's why they pay engineers, and that's And there again, the playing down to 9 volts is going to be the new normal. Actually, 8.5 volts will be the new normal when designing an amplifier, because with stop-start now becoming the norm, when a car starts back up at the stoplight from stop-start, it'll typically dip down to 8.5 or 9 volts. So that's why you're seeing power supplies being redesigned to be able to play that low, as opposed to this older technology that is not. One of the reasons behind the Q class fading away was not because the technology behind it was crazy, but it's built off a 6-year-old platform, and Kicker as a company is developing newer products, and those newer products are going to be compliant with vehicles moving forward as of now and into the future, where they see most cars are going to be stop-start. They want to make sure that their product is enjoyable. The CS line was the first line to become stop-start compatible. Now we're going to see that move into whatever comes next down the line. So these are things that you're paying for when you buy those brands.
Yeah, totally.
We're called electronic technicians.
Electronic technicians.
I call them engineers, but we can call them electronic technicians. Just like the debate over whether we're installers, fabricators, car audio technicians. I have no idea. There's so many different names for what we do now. It's like I work in car audio. It's what I do, man. I make cars. I make the cars that go boom. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for playing along with us today. We hope you enjoy the news. We hope you're learning something, or at least being mildly entertained.
Congratulations
we want to thank our sponsor, Hi-Fi, at MorelHiFi.com is where you can find them. Check out the new Maximal Ultra 3-way set. It's pretty special little set there. Very nice sounding. Gotta love it. You guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you later on the Instagram, 5 Minutes of 5-Star. And then tomorrow, Saturday at 6:30. I'm sorry, at 6. Jesus.
6 o'clock.
We do too many shows, guys. You guys have a wonderful night as always. Bye.